Dear students, today we are going to start our new topic on graphs. Chapter is Motion, Class 9 Physics. Now first of all, what is graph? We can simply define graph as a correlation. It is a correlation between two variables. Now in class 9, the graphs are of three types. Number one is VT graph. VT graph is also called as velocity time graph. Number two, DT graph. DT graph means distance time graph. And number three, AT graph. AT graph means acceleration time graph. Now, according to the syllabus of NCERT class 9, we are here going to discuss about the VT and the DT graphs only. Okay, now first of all, come to VT graphs. Now there are different types of velocity time graphs. For example, number one, if we take velocity on the y-axis and time on the x-axis. Now this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. On the y-axis we have taken velocity and on the x-axis we have taken time. Now this is the graph line. Now according to this graph, what we are able to observe that the height of the graph line remains constant. Means the height of this point from x-axis and the height of this point from x-axis would be same. It means velocity is not changing. But the graph line is moving horizontally along the x-axis, which represents that time is increasing in this graph. So time is increasing but velocity remains constant. Neither the velocity getting increased or neither it getting reduced. So such type of graph represents uniform motion. Such type of graph represents uniform motion in which the graph line is parallel to the x-axis. Now second type of graph is this one. Now in this graph we are able to see that the height of the graph line increases along with the increase in time. So we can say this straight line represents that the ratio of increasing the velocity and the ratio of increasing the time would be same. So such type of graph represents uniformly accelerated motion. Now the third type of graph is in this graph we are able to see that the initial velocity is more and in the initial velocity we can say having some magnitude, but the final velocity at the end of the journey is 0 because the height of this point is 0. So we can say this graph represents uniform because it is a straight line. uniform retarded motion. Now second type of graphs are distance time graphs. Distance time graphs. Now the first type is here in this graph, distance is to be taken on the y-axis and time is to be taken on the x-axis. Now the very first graph is this one. Now this graph represents the increase in the distance with the increase in the time, and this straight line represents uniformity. This straight line represents uniformity. It means this graph represents uniform speed. This graph represents uniform speed. Now second graph is also distance time graph. Now in this graph we can easily see that the height of the graph line is not increasing. It means the distance is not increasing, whereas the time increases as the graph line is moving horizontally. So time is increasing whereas distance remains constant. So this graph represents we can say body at rest, we can say a car is parked in a parking, or a car is parked near the roadside, or body at rest. So this is all about the graphs in class 9 physics. Chapter is motion.